What if it all changed? Your family, your friends, everything you knew, everyone you knew, life as you knew it. You're a child not yet damaged by life. You and your friends take a trip to the countryside, also your cat, to visit your aunt you haven't seen in a while. You meet the quirky neighbors, it all feels like a dream. Then they're all gone. Just like that, vaporized by some absurd monster you couldn't possibly hope to understand. What did we do? How could we have avoided this? You get no answers. You aren't owed any answers. We like to create rules, structure, order. We pretend as though it all makes sense. Like there is some grand narrative to our lives, that there are set rules for story beats and themes and arcs. But people create narratives. We're taught, especially when we're men, that life owes us a great deal. You're young, you have your whole life ahead of you, endless opportunities. You're the hero of your journey, so you set out on that journey. But then reality hits. Not only is the world not yours, but your actions have consequences.
Do I just cut them up like regular chickens?
Sure, just cut them up like regular chickens.
The world is filled with oddities, peril, inconsistency. Everything is foreign to you. And you now have responsibilities within it. You turn back only to realize your parents won't always be there. Or the hot lady next door, you deadbeat. Your life will never be the same. The old you is dead. This is not the hero's journey you were always taught.
You ever feel like nothing good was ever gonna happen to you?
Yeah, and nothing did. So what?
I don't want to just survive. It says in these movie writing books that every character has an arc. Like everybody starts out somewheres, and then they do something gets done to them, it changes their life. That's called their arc. Where's my arc?
Normalcy is a myth. Order is a construct. There is no such thing as common sense. There is no such thing as weird. We do all these little performances. We act as though we know what we're doing, but we're really making it up as we go along. It's this grotesque little thing we're taught as we grow up to pretend as though it all makes sense. This is a reboot of one of the first video essays I've ever made because somehow it feels right to do it now. I just made a video about escapism and endings, particularly sad ones, and why they're necessary sometimes, but I suggested that there are some of us who do find that comfort in the less conventional stories, which deny us the pretty pink bows of happy endings. People, not gonna lie, I've been going through it. I'm not really okay right now. Don't worry about it, it's just, life is doing its thing. But now, especially after having made a couple videos challenging the dangers in art which perpetuates the status quo, I think now is as good a time as any to share some of my favorite pieces of media which challenge these popular narratives. Some of us find solace in this rejection of the performance. Others find it frightening, or even incomprehensible. We approach art expecting it to continue the performance we make in our daily lives, even making it simpler. We find solace in our myths, our rules, the words we tell ourselves to keep us sane, our stories. But what if these stories perpetuate a world order that alienates, that hurts, that demonizes, A narrative that one from the outside would find to be the oddity. A narrative of indulgence and debauchery allotted to one gender, but demonizing others when they try to imitate it. A narrative of conformity to a system of contradiction, exploitation, and helplessness, calling the process growing up.
Hey, young blood, let me give you a tip. Use your white voice. You want to make some money here? Then read the script with a white voice. Like this, young blood.
Hey, Mr. Kramer, this is Langston from Regal View. I didn't catch you at the wrong time, did I?
A narrative of excellence, granted only to those who sacrifice their identity or exploit it.
Nigga shit, nigga shit, nigga shit. Nigga shit, nigga shit, nigga.
Cotta, pianeta e casula sono oggi prodotti in tessuti di incomparabile leggerezza.
A narrative of such religious adherence to tradition that you seemingly worship the institution instead of the god. Arthouse films and other forms of experimental art have been one of those small tethers keeping me from snapping one day, and I have in the past tried to show friends and family arthouse films before. I have since discovered the scent of grass, but this does not mean that I would not encourage others to give it a go. Due to the nature of transgressive art, it is to be expected that most people won't get it. Art is largely used as a means of escape, a moment to throw your brain away and be lulled into the hypnotic haze of familiarity. Not an opportunity to challenge or confront, but to uphold pre-existing ideas. This is understandable, I guess. But for some of us, there's nothing quite as nightmarish and disturbing as the set order of things. In the unpredictable, unforgiving world we live in, escaping into worlds which reassure this false sense of comfort is just as valid a response as to directly confront it with our media. I do both. A blend of comfort and confrontation is healthy, I think, but the aversion from art that challenges you on top of all your real struggles is one that I can empathize with. But if you do want to expand your perspective, maybe challenge yourself a bit, why not try to understand these strange stories and why it is that some of us feel comforted by them? Why do these artists feel so compelled to abandon the rules? What do they see that births the strange worlds they create? What do they experience? What did Vincent Van see that made his brushstrokes and compositions so jarringly different to those of the other Impressionists? And why did it take so long for him to be recognized? Why did Basquiat feel compelled to use the walls of others as his canvas? And why were his lines so aggressive? Speaking of Basquiat, why did Andy Warhol shoot art in the back by forcing us to look at consumerism and celebrity culture as high art? I have a lot of feelings about Warhol, but maybe some other time.
Can I take your picture?
Nah, I don't.
Please, it's just for a class assignment.
How do you want me?
Wanna watch it develop?
What prompted Colleen Smith to twist the tropes of the film's noir, taking us into a small town to uncover a serial killer who's attacking people? Noir. Drylongso does not have a conventional plot. Instead, following a black girl who takes it upon herself to take photos of black men before they all go extinct.
I'm taking pictures of black men because they're becoming an endangered species.
To be African American, from what I understand, is an inherently surreal experience. Your very existence is deviant from the set order of things. Your experiences likely will deviate from the script. What script, you may ask? The ones set by the primarily Caucasian casts that have frequented the film screens for decades. You see, their stories carry this sense of order because they are the order. Their detectives are fast-talking loners in trench coats and the killers are shady fedora men. But here we are taking into a brightly lit community, following a black girl who you could know. Just taking pictures. in spite of the evils. Or let's look at another murder mystery, a TV show, though it isn't at all speaking to the experience of any minority group, but rather takes the exact opposite approach and holds a magnifying glass so close to the majority it becomes unrecognizable.
The owls are not what they seem.
Twin Peaks and other David Lynch projects hold the very concept of Americana so tight it breaks. They stare at the plastic smile of the myth of the American dream so long it combusts into flames. Things in the small town of Twin Peaks are not as they seem. Twin Peaks takes the atmosphere built by these soap operas and detective shows that held the foundation of American television at the time and uses them to dig beneath the surface, to expose the darkness that lies below the performance.
What?
Everything is not okay, no matter how much we lie and say it is. There is some evil spirit lying in the forests, in the trees, taking possession of your neighbor, your friend's dad, the homecoming queen, everyone's girl, the beacon of innocence, of comfort, is dead. She's been killed, and one of you did it.
For my next number, I'd like to sing a song which is sung every year at harvest time in the islands of the Caspian Sea.
With experimental art, often the message lies less in what is happening on screen or what you are bearing witness to, but rather it is in the very form. Andy Kaufman made a career out of satirizing the American entertainment industry by performing comedy routines without any jokes. He called himself a song and dance man, and that's exactly what he was. He was never necessarily an actor or comedian, but he did act.
My stupid stuff is stupid stuff. I think your stupid stuff is stupid stuff, and you calling my stuff is not stupid stuff.
Why don't you shut up, Palatka?
And do stand-up.
Now, I would like to imitate
He'd just play a character, do impressions, sing songs in his little nonsense language. He'd become a mixed wrestler who only fought women.
Themselves like that. Now, I'm not saying women are mentally inferior to men, because when it comes to things like cooking and cleaning.
The joke isn't in the words he's saying, his singing, or being a misogynist. It is in the very fact that he's doing these things. The audience will watch the spectacle and no doubt tune in to see what he's up to next.
The question that everybody has been asking, was the incident at the end of last week's show real? Yes, the incident last week was planned. We decided that Andy Kaufman would break into an improvisation.
This was an experimental piece. We wanted to do something different. At one point, we were supposed to digress from the script, and I can't.
What does this say about the idea of the celebrity? The programs will benefit from the ratings because of his stunts. What is he saying about the media? When he deliberately sabotages comedy skits or stages fistfights on live television, what is he saying about us? Then again, he might have just been a big brat, and by interpreting his stunts as avant-garde performance art, I might just be playing into his hand. Based either way, to be honest.
That's absolutely abnormal behavior.
Is everything all right, gentlemen?
Great. But those are typical evenings for us. These evenings are really like sickly dreams. People are talking in symbols.
Well, what often happens in some of these evenings is that these really crazy little fantasies will just start being played with.
I'm no professional at anything, but if I may speak to my own creative process, there is nothing I find so fascinating as watching human beings interact with each other in the least creepy way possible. It's this bizarre, ongoing process of sleight of hand, this battle, this symphony, this dance. It's grotesque and frightening, but also beautiful. It makes me sick, but also fills me with curiosity. People, I've yet to be formally diagnosed with anything, but half of you aren't either. For people like myself who don't gel very well with the established order of things, there is a great catharsis to be found when they're taken apart and examined. I often find myself writing stories about people who I'd never associated with in real life. I even identify with them when I'm consuming. There's something so fascinating about watching manufactured conversations, literally following a script, then emulating the formulations of these conversations, devising little scripts of our own, following the formula, hitting each beat. Of course, real life isn't scripted though. These ways of speaking can be learned and unlearned.
By performing these roles all the time, we're just hiding the reality of ourselves from everybody else. We usually don't know the things we'd like to know, even about our supposedly closest friends. We just don't dare to ask each other.
No, it'd be like asking your friend to drop his role.
There are those of us who struggle to keep up with the formula. This is why I find it so interesting to explore in fiction all the little rules we've manufactured. Most of them are quite odd when you look at them, surreal, sometimes nefarious. I like exploring this little hang-up of mine in fiction, attempting to replicate how odd I find these everyday conventions of ours that we take for granted. The normal. You see, for some of us, instead of creating a fantasy where everything is alright, good wins in the end, and all is well, these stories come to you where you are. However, they feel no obligation to hold your hand and tell you that it will all work out. Instead, they look at you as you are, in your circumstances, the way you are, and say, I see you. You are not alone. I can't tell you that things are alright, because that might be wrong. But I see you, and you are not alone. To those outside, it may all be a lot of nonsense, but if you want to expand your mind, you must take the step to hear us out. To engage with the avant-garde, you must be willing to enter the unknown. That's the great risk. Leave the comfort. Don't close your eyes, don't resist, surrender to it. Don't approach with judgment, but with inquiry. It can be quite frightening. Or boring. But it can be enrapturing, possibly life-changing. Again, I can't completely blame a person if they prefer the world of comfort, but there is so much more, isn't there?
I don't want a blanket. It's fun being cold. Turn on that electric blanket and it's like taking a tranquilizer. It's like we're living in a fantasy world of our own making.
I would never give up my electric blanket, Andre. I mean, New York is cold in the winter. I mean, our apartment is cold. It's a difficult environment. I mean, our lives are tough enough as it is. I'm not looking for ways to get rid of the few things that provide relief and comfort. I mean, on the contrary, I'm looking for more comfort because the world is very abrasive. I mean, I'm trying to protect myself because really there are these abrasive beatings to be avoided everywhere you look.
Ignorance is bliss, but ignorance can be dangerous. The unknown is frightening, but braving through it can only expand your world. What if it all changed? The world as you know it, small as it is, could evaporate in an instant, regardless of whether you choose to step out or not. This myth we have of normalcy, stability, order, is a construct. A comforting one, perhaps a necessary one in many cases, but it is a construct. The rug, it could be pulled at any moment. Everything stops making sense, and the rug that holds it all could be dashed at any moment. It is frightening, it is cold, it is unforgiving, it is unbearable, but it's fine.
自由な世界。自由？何者にも束縛されない自由な世界だよ。
Where there are no rules, there is freedom.
Have a real relationship with a person that goes on for years. That's completely unpredictable. Then you've cut off all your ties to the land and you're sailing into the unknown, into uncharted seas. I mean, people hold on to these images of father, mother, husband, wife, again, for the same reason, because they seem to provide some firm ground. But there's no wife there. What does that mean? A wife, a husband, a son. A baby holds your hands, and then suddenly there's this huge man lifting you off the ground, and then he's gone. Where's that son?